How's it going, everyone? Blueknight here, and welcome back to another Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time video. So the game has already been out for almost a week now, and as promised, Crash Bandicoot 4 videos are back on the channel, with this one being dedicated to the insane amount of Easter eggs and references that exist in the game. Now, there's no way that I could have included every single one of them in this video, so that is why I'm just going to be going over 29 Easter eggs in total. It's a rather lengthy list with some minor spoilers, so if you have not played the game yet, then I recommend clicking off of this video. But if you're not worried about spoilers and have already played the game, then we can go ahead and get started. And what better place to start than on good old Insanity Beach. There's actually a rather surprising amount of Easter eggs and references here, with the first one being the surfboards over here. They don't seem like much at first glance, but the designs on them are actually the tribal tattoos that Crash had in Crash of the Titans and Mind Over Mutant. But speaking of the Mutant series of games, the second Easter egg on this list is the bottom soles of Crash's shoes having paw prints on them, just like Crash did in Titans and Mutant. Third thing on this list is another Titans related callback, as throughout the hazardous waste dimension we see these megaphones that Injin is constantly talking through. Well, if we look back at Injin's levels from Crash of the Titans, the very same thing applies, although instead of Injin yelling at Crash or Coco, he's just informing his Doom Monkeys about holidays and such. Number 4 is yet another Crash of the Titans callback, and I can already see the comments section being filled with, "Why are you pointing out Crash of the Titans stuff so much? I swear, this is the last Titans reference." Injin in Crash 4's Rocket Head boss has a heavy interest in music, just like in his boss from Crash of the Titans. Can that really be considered a boss, because all we did was shut a bunch of doors? Number 5 features our favorite little purple dragon, Spyro, and if you're familiar with the motto, whatever happens with Crash, happens with Spyro, or you can't have orange without purple, well, Crash 4 is no exception to that rule, especially when Toys for Bob is at the helm on Crash 4's development, as Spyro shows up as a floaty on Insanity Beach that you can just send off to sea. No wait, Spyro, come back! Spyro shows up again as Easter egg number 6 in the Mosquito Marsh area of the game, this time as a floating parade balloon, and I can't help but appreciate how they managed to make Spyro look really cute here. Number 7 consists of one more Spyro Easter egg in the form of sheep during the game's flashback levels. Here we can see sheep scattered throughout the backgrounds, or even lots of sheep at once. That's a lot of sheep. Now, speaking of Spyro, we can't forget one of the more infamous parts of Spyro's history. That's right, I'm referring to Skylanders, with Eruptor representing the series at number 8. But not only that, this is also referencing the actual balloon that was used in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade back when Skylanders was still a thing. Toys for Bob created a legacy with Skylanders, just not so much with Spyro fans, so it was kind of obvious that some sort of Easter egg relating to the series was going to show up in Crash 4. Keeping to the subject of Skylanders, reference number 9 appears when we reach the Bermugula's Orbit part of the game. There is a level called Crash Landed, which is not only the title of Crash's proper debut episode in the first season of the Skylanders Academy TV show, but this is also referencing the scrapped Crash Bandicoot game of the same name that was in development by Radical Entertainment, the very same development studio behind Crash Tag Team Racing, Crash of the Titans, and Mind Over Mutant. And since I just brought up scrapped content, you guys might remember Crash Twinsanity. You know, the game that had so much scrapped content due to being rushed to the point that the developers themselves used Cortex to reference that fact by breaking the fourth wall? Yeah, there's actually quite a few references to Twinsanity in Crash 4. The first one is number 10 on this list, and that's the most obvious one. The 11th dimension where Snow Way Out takes place in. For those who have played Twinsanity, you would recall that Cortex specifically brings up the 11th dimension along with the 9th and 10th dimensions. Now, both the 9th and 11th dimensions were outright cut from the final version of the game, along with who knows how many other levels because of Universal rushing Traveler's Tales to get the game done. So it is rather nice that Toys for Bob managed to include this in Crash 4. Number 11 is that when Coco Bandicoot is performing a double jump, she's actually doing it in the same fashion as Crash does in Crash Twinsanity. It's a subtle nod that only the longtime fans I think would definitely catch on to. Number 12 is Cortex's ability to teleport. Let me clarify, Cortex does not teleport in Crash 4, but he did in Crash Twinsanity, which was the only game where he's ever done so, and it was never explained as to how he could do that in the first place. Okay, yeah, he's a scientist, so he can just invent a teleporter. But in the shipping error timeline level in Crash 4, Cortex mentions that he shouldn't have replaced his blaster's teleport function option for a hairdry function. Again, it's another nice callback to Twinsanity, but the last Twinsanity reference that I could find, which is reference number 13, is not directly in the game. Instead, it is a trophy for defeating both entropies, and it's simply called Twinsanity. How about that, folks? Twinsanity, my original favorite Crash game of all time, getting proper representation in Crash 4. That's really a cool thing to see. And you know what else is cool? That's right. Number 14 is Biker Crash from Crash 3 Warped, making a return as an unlockable skin in Crash 4. But this isn't the only Warped related Easter egg or reference in Crash 4, as Easter egg number 15 is Purah, the adorable tiger that helps out Coco at various points in Crash 3. Appears as a parade balloon next to Spyro and Eruptor. Number 16 appears in the game's intro cutscene, when Cortex points to a rock with a bunch of tally marks on it. These tally marks add up to 22 years since the release of the original Crash Warped on the PS1, but also the fact that Crash 4 released 22 years after the original Warped's release. And since Crash 4 continues where Warped left off, this makes perfect sense. Number 17 is yet another reference to Warped. Well, not Warped specifically, but the entire Insane trilogy and Crash 4 itself. By going back to Insanity Beach and just spin this TV, you get the title screens for Crash 1, Crash 2, Crash Warped, and Crash 4 respectively. Doing this earns you the Channel Surfer trophy. Number 18, since we're back on Insanity Beach, let's look at what's on the fridge rather than what's in it, as we can spot the word Crunch, which is a direct reference to Crunch Bandicoot, a recurring character in the series that first made his debut in Wrath of Cortex, which was the original Crash 4. We can also spot Crunch in one of the game's flashback levels as one of the other Bandicoots that Cortex was experimenting on at the same time as Crash and Coco. And thanks to Cogmonkey over on Twitter, we have a better look at what Crunch would look like in Crash 4 style. And since I just acknowledged Wrath of Cortex's existence, there are quite a few Easter eggs and references for this game in Crash 4. Number 19 is the skier lab assistants in the Bears Repeating level. Now, the reason I point this out is because the last time we had these specific lab assistants was in Wrath of Cortex. Again, it's a nice little nod to that game. But the next two are blatantly obvious references to the Wrath of Cortex. The Atmosphere, coming in at number 20, appears in the Hit the Road level, although changed a little bit to fit the level's theme, and its utilization in Crash 4 fits so much better than how Wrath of Cortex used it. And rather than instantly dying when hitting a hazard, while in the Atmosphere in Wrath of Cortex, you can hit as many things as you want in Crash 4 without dying, except for Truck, that will cause you to lose. Number 21 is during the final phase of the first battle with Dr. Cortex, where he makes a direct reference to the Wrath of Cortex by saying, "Feel the wrath of Cortex." Again, that's about as awesome as Twinsanity being outright named in a trophy, but in this same battle with Cortex, more precisely the intro cutscene to this boss, reference number 22 is Cortex literally saying the name of the game. I don't know, it's just something about a character directly naming the game, movie, or TV show that they're currently in that I find kinda cool. Easter egg references numbers 23 to 28 are character cameos that are scattered throughout the game. At the end of the first bonus round, we can see an image of Classic Tana on a pillow. Megamix can be seen in the Hazardous Waste level on a poster. Pinstripe Potaroo can be seen on a wanted poster in the Mosquito Marsh section of the game. Ripperoo can be spotted bouncing on a rooftop in the same level, alongside a fake Crash balloon. Fake Crash also appears in one of the game's jetboard levels as we jump over him while he dances, as he always has. Or if you manage to glitch this, you can just sit here and watch him dance for however long you want to. And the last character Easter egg is another Twinsanity reference that I apparently missed while I was scripting this video, and that is the Evil Twins. They can be seen in the Bermugulus Orbit section of the game, and them being referenced here kinda makes sense to what's going on in the story, but I'm not gonna spoil that. So maybe there'll be a chance that they could return in the next game, but that'll be for another time. And now we've come to the 29th and final Easter egg for this video, and it's a rather big one. If you guys are familiar with the "Whoa yeah" meme that's been around for years, well, they implemented it into the game during the Entropy boss fight. Well, actually it's before we get there. While grinding on the time rails, you gotta collect all 18 Bumpa Berries in order to see this meme fill up your screen. It's a bit weird, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense sense in the slightest, but it is pretty cool that Toys for Bob actually threw in probably one of the biggest Crash Bandicoot memes to ever exist in the community in Crash 4. And with that, guys, is the end of today's video. Like I said at the start of the video, this is not every single Easter egg or reference that is in the game, as there is some that I'm sure I missed. And I will probably make a part 2 video going over the extra Easter eggs and references that I did miss. But I'm curious, what Easter eggs or references have you guys noticed in the game, and which one is your favorite? Be sure to leave everything down in the comments section below, and also don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell to stay up to date on all things Crash Bandicoot. Once again, thank you all so much for watching and the support. I've been Blueknight, and I'll see you guys back here next time.
What?